Welcome back for another episode of Dollar Bin Digging. This is the video and article that I do for comicbookinvest.com, where I talk about those books that are still probably tucked away in those cheap boxes, those discount bins, those dollar boxes, just books you can go out there and search for and hunt for fun based off of some of the things going on in the comics right now, news, rumors, TV shows, movies, etc. These are just books that kind of spring to my mind, tied to some of the recent pop culture, connections that we got again with what's going on in the comics and the news, etc. Hopefully you're enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure that you like, you subscribe, you hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And if you want to see this week's selection of books, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro and I will be right back. All right, let's just get right into it. This week, we're going to start off, as we normally do, with comics. I'm sure, like most of you, I love reading comics. So when I'm reading through stuff, I like to see connections, and it reminds me of stuff, and I think about other books, and I wonder, it's like, hey, I haven't seen this character for a while. When's the last time I've seen them? What was their first appearance, etc. So that's why I do things like this. Hopefully you enjoy that, because this is stuff that pops into my mind when I'm out there reading. So decided to share this info with you guys. So, with that said, our first book, new this week, Amazing Spider-Man number 61. New creative team. I'm excited for something new and fresh. Yeah, not glowing reviews from everybody yesterday on the Tax Show, but I enjoyed this. I mean, it wasn't perfect by any stretch, but I was happy to get something different. Looking forward to this this run starting here. So, with that said, Amazing Spider-Man number 61. What do we got inside? Well, we're just going to tie in some characters. Granted, they've been around for a little while, but based off of this book, let's just see what's going on. Because I haven't been keeping up completely with ASM lately because I just wasn't loving the last couple of runs. They just weren't really for me. I dip in and dip out, whatever. But here we go. So apparently, Peter Parker is dating. And he's not dating Mary Jane. He's not dating, what was his roommate? It was Caitlin or something. I forget. Remember, there was somebody else there. He's dating this girl right here, who is a nurse over at Ravencroft. This is Shay Markin. So even Aunt May knows her. His buddy Robbie Robertson Jr. is also friends with her. So Shay Markin is his current main squeeze. Now, she hasn't been around all that long. I mean, this is issue 61 after all. She only goes back a few months, March 2024, to Amazing Spider-Man number 45, when we were introduced to her as a nurse in Ravencroft, which is kind of like Spider-Man's Arkham. You know, you want to call it that. Like a lot of the villains, a lot of the crazies are in there. So with that said, she is a nurse there. She starts dating Spider-Man. Cool. With that, if you want to go and pick up her first, well, it's generally a pretty cheap book. Like nobody is really that all interested. I mean, I'm not saying she's the next MJ or anything, but you never know. I mean, basically, it's cover price and less. Granted, can you find in a dollar bin? Maybe, but that's not the point. The point of when I'm doing dollar bin digging, and extends beyond a simple dollar box. It also goes to any discount in of itself, whether it be a half off cover, however your shop or your place's discount books. That's what I'm talking about. So this is the kind of cheap stuff you can go and dig for. So you can see most of these copies selling $3 to $4, even available $3 to $4. And considering it's at a $4.99 cover price, they're already at a discount. So maybe you find them even discounted more. Now, also in this current ASM book, number 61, we're also kind of given this sort of flashback and kind of setting up the storyline where Peter is going to have to face the spawn of Cyttorak, if I'm saying that right. And, you know, Cyttorak is the demon creature that it's kind of got a wonky history. I mean, going back to Doctor Strange, you're going back to Juggernaut, because made Juggernaut's helmet. That's why his head has that kind of similar look, or at least that's how they've kind of retconned it in recent times to kind of fit that. But Doctor Strange's astral form comes to inform Peter Parker, because that's how it starts. Like in 61, just kind of give you a quick little overview. Dr. Doom basically tricks Peter into being his champion as Sorcerer Supreme. He bequeaths the job to Peter Parker to take care of the spawn of Cyttorak. So he's going to have to fight and possibly die every time he fights them, but through magic, he'll be reborn, yada, yada, yada. So he got through one. That's why the storyline is called The 8 Deaths of Spider-Man. That said, let's just go into Cyttorak real fast. If I'm saying it right, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. Cyttorak was first introduced in Doctor Strange number 44, Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme from the 90s. So this is June 1992. It was an Infinity War crossover event. This is when we were first introduced. Now, this book has had its ups and downs. It spiked a few times because people thought we might be getting some teases to this, I think in the MCU, yada, etc. But anyway, there we go. First, kind of mentioned there, Cyttorak inside this book. Cool. Currently, as I said, it's had its ups and downs, so some of the pricing could be a little inconsistent. Right now, it could sell as cheap as $2.50, $5, $7, and you look at the asking prices, $5, $7, $14. There's even some outliers where people looking for $20. There's even graded copies because, again, it became popular a few times over the years, so people actually graded this book, and there are 9/8s out there if you wanted to go shop for them. But we'll see where this ASM run goes. I'm kind of interested. I'm kind of on board to give this a read, at least a little bit further. So we'll see what the next spawn of Cyttorak brings to the table and make sure that it's not repetitive and it's something different each time would be kind of fun. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm kind of into a storyline like that because it's almost video game-like. Like you got levels and mini bosses. So I'm down for that. You're speaking my language when you do something like that. So I'm in to see this, to read through this current Spider-Man run. Now, aside from that, still with Marvel, we also got a new issue of Captain America. So Captain America 15 came out this week. Back in Broxton, Oklahoma. Remember when that was Asgard for a little while there? Way back in the day with Thor? Well, we're getting a call back to those times too, as we've got these two. We've got Bill, son of William, Fry Cook, soldier. You remember Bill? Bill Cobb Jr., and Kelda, who was an Asgardian. So this, again, goes back to that time when Asgard came down to Broxton, Oklahoma, and then the people of Broxton started mingling with the Asgardians, and these two started a love story for the ages. That said, they're calling back to it here in this issue of Cap. So for fun, let's take a look back at Bill Jr. here with his first appearance, which goes back to that Straczynski run of Thor when he came down to Broxton, Oklahoma from October of 2007. And inside this, we're introduced to, again, the Fry Cook, Bill, before he goes and becomes a warrior before long. And then I think he ends up in Valhalla. It's kind of a fun story. He even got a spinoff. He got a one-shot spinoff of his own. So keep an eye out for that, too, for fun. But his first appearance was in the second issue of Thor, which is still a pretty cheap book. I could only find actually one sale of it individually. I mean, there's some lots that had it included, but $2.15 is what a single copy sold for. And then you can see copies listed for $3, $5, $9. But even that $9 comes with free shipping. So it really is just a $5 book again, or less. So with that said, not an expensive book at all. Granted, heavily printed. This was a very popular time for Thor. So the print runs were higher. So there are a lot of these out there, and a lot of these kind of linger. And that's why they're in those cheap boxes. But that doesn't mean it can't be a fun little find for you if you want to go and find the first appearance of Bill Jr. Now, along with Bill, you got to get his better half, Kelda. So Kelda, also here, called back to. She showed up in the same run of Thor, but a couple issues later. So here we go with Kelda. Thor number 6 is where she first appeared. So again, there's also multiple covers on these books, so keep an eye out for those as well. There's kind of like some B cover actions on these Straczynski Thors. Some of them are really nice, but I like the Oliver Coipels, so I just went with the cover A Coipels. So with that, inside the guts of this book, Bill meets the soon-to-be love of his life. I mean, she's glowing in the night. I mean, how could he not draw his eye? But yeah. There she is. And then from there, sparks fly, and the two end up together. Now, this book, I couldn't even find any single issue sales. There were some lots, as I mentioned, with issue 2, but nothing's selling individually. And then what's available? $8. But $8 with free shipping. So realistically, these are $2 books because these days shipping costs $5 to $6. Even media mail is almost $5 for a single issue book. So that's what we're talking about. These are basically dollar books. They're not expensive at all. Something you can easily find if you want to go and give it a try. Speaking of giving it a try, if you out there have still not tried Whatnot, now is your chance. Use my link below. Sign up. Try the app. Get yourself a free $15 on your first purchase. Free $15 to spend on whatever you want with whomever you want. No strings attached. You help out the channel. You get yourself something nice. You really got nothing to lose just to give it a try. So mention, if you haven't tried it yet, give it a shot. It's 15 bucks. Spend it on whatever you want. And if you do, let me know what you get, because I'd be curious. Now, with that said, we're going to go pivot over to the Distinguished Competition and see what they got working this week. And we're going to start in with Batman and Robin number 15. So here we go. Inside of Batman and Robin number 15, I'm not going to do a whole recap of the issue. I got a whole separate show to do that now. Go check out spoilers if you like spoiler-filled reviews with some first appearances, etc. mentioned, except, you know, in kind of a pop-up video style. That's my new video series. But here, we're just going to look at this character that shows up in this book. And this guy right here, Tiger Shark. Okay, not an original name, but not what you expect. He's not a fishy character. He's not like the Marvel's Tiger Shark, which is a dude in like a wetsuit and he's kind of a shark man or whatever. Not going that way. Tiger Shark, going more gangster style. Pretty cool. He's been around for a little bit. I like his style. Check out that jacket. He's got the Daredevil mask going. Pretty cool. Introduced back in the Detective Comics run near the end of that original run, the Scott Snyder Jock run in Detective 878 was his first appearance. So June of 2011 on this book, if you want that first Tiger Shark to go tie in to what we're seeing in the books today. Now, oh, that's not him. This is the wrong the wrong drop-in, but point is, he's inside this issue, even though I grabbed the wrong image for you. Sorry, I just don't feel like fixing it right now. So you're just going to have to imagine what it is inside this book, because it is not the mayor who's dead, because it's a different storyline. That was last week's book. But this week's book, Detective Comics 878, part of that Jock run that came near the end of the run before they renumbered, and then they've gone back. So it's a dollar book. You can see here, $1.26, $2.10, $4.51. Copies available, $3, $3.14, $6.70. It's not pricey at all. So if you could find it, go scoop one up. It's, again, got a pretty cool Jock cover there too to go with it. So got nothing to lose there to grab a free, a first appearance for cheap. And that's kind of what we're doing here. Now, also over in DC, I've been kind of taken into reading Green Lantern lately because I dove into that one Green Lantern. So now I'm kind of into this Civil Corp storyline. At least going to follow it loosely, if not read everything. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But for now, Green Lantern number 17 came out this week, and we did have a buttload of Green Lanterns in it, as you might expect. So without doing all of them, which at first I was going to do, I'm going to do some highlights. So as far as highlights go, Kyle Rayner. You remember him. He was the Green Lantern that replaced Hal Jordan when he became Parallax. Now, also along the way, Kyle has been a number of different types. He's got a number of different rings. There was even that stretch where he had all the rings, and he eventually became the White Lantern. He's going back to this moniker, at least in this issue for now, to go and fight the Dark Star. Makes sense? White Lantern, Dark Star. Makes sense, right? The White Lantern first showed up, Kyle Rayner at least, as the White Lantern in New Guardians. So Green Lantern, New Guardians number 16. Pretty cool cover. I mean, yeah, we got the brains all just there, texture. Looks cool. He shows up right here, 2013. All the colors of the rainbow, all of the emotions, avarice and greed and hate and love, compassion, yada, yada, yada. All the lights coming together. White Lantern. Very cheap book. You can still find this in those cheap boxes. As you can see here, I found one sale for $6, which was kind of impressive. But then copies available, $2.75, $3, $6.66. So you could find it. It's not a pricey book if you want to get in on that first White Lantern. Now, in that same panel, which I didn't show it to you because I was trying to focus in on Kyle there, down below, and she's also in other panels throughout the book, we've got this character here. Her name is a lot of numbers. I didn't feel like putting all the numbers, so I'm going to use the nickname that they call her by, and we're going to refer to her as her nickname, which is 26, because those are a couple of the numbers that are mixed in the long stretch of numbers that is her name. Now, she also has been around for a bit, but part of the new recruits that came through during that Jeff Johns kind of run. So we're going to go back and see when she first appeared, which was in Green Lantern number 21. Just before 25, which is the first appearance of a number of other of the ring colors. Like that's when we got introduced to, the Red Lanterns with what's his name? I can't think of the bad guy's name. And then with the Blue Lantern, Saint Walker, I think, first showed up at number 25. So that was a big issue. So a couple issues before, in number 21, we were introduced to 2/6 along with some of the other recruits here, some of the new Lanterns of the time. Again, she got a couple of cool covers too. Different look, aliens. Always fun when you got alien lanterns. So yeah. This book, again, very, very cheap. Look, 99 cents. Best offer on $2.99. It's sold with an incentive, 1 in 25. The regular book and the 1 in 25 sold together for $8. That's what I'm talking about. Very cheap. Copies available, $2, $2.30. Very, very cheap book. A book you can find, and a first appearance. So why not? I know there's a ton of lanterns out there, but you never know what lanterns might hit, especially with a new lantern show coming to HBO Max. Maybe we get some of these oddball characters just in the backgrounds. Maybe we get a little bit more out of some than others. It'd be interesting to see who they spotlight. But with that said, you know, you got to go and protect your collectibles. So while you do, it's money you don't want to spend. So if you got to spend it, you might as well save yourself some while you do it. You got to go buy your bags, your boards, your boxes, your top loaders, etc. Save yourself some money. Use my link. Use my code RENA10 to save yourself 10% off while you have to get those things that you need. Because you got to protect your books. You got to protect your comics. Save some money while you do it. So there you go. Use the code. Use the link. You'll help the channel. You save yourself some money. That said, I've got one more book for you this week, and we're going to go to tie into the realm of TV shows. And I will give Topher his credit for posting about this early on IGs, but I was thinking of this too after watching the most recent episode of The Penguin, the finale. Great show, by the way. This is one of the best things come out this year. One of the best shows I've seen in a while, beginning to end. I love what they did. I love the story they told, and they stuck the landing here. They really did. But without spoiling it, if you haven't seen the whole show, I will spoil some of it here at the end with what we see a potential of what could happen in the future with a character. Now, stealing the show for a good chunk of it, Sophia Falcone, still in there. She's still she's locked away there in Arkham, but at the end, she receives a letter from her half-sister, which many of you might have forgotten that Selina Kyle in this Batman universe is her half-sister, as they told the story with, Carmine and, Hangman. So she knows her half-sister is innocent of that, even though she did blow up a good chunk of the city and kill a lot of people in Crown Point. So it's not like she's a saint. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted that Sophia, who was wrongly accused of being the Hangman, she's still not a good person. That said, Selina Kyle reaching out to her sister, she gets a letter. Hints of what could come out of this. Now, a lot of this series kind of touched in on the Long Halloween kind of corner. I don't want to say it's not really a universe. It's just like a aspect of the Batman universe. So some of those stories that kind of have their own little threads and ties that they stick to. So it's possible that this could lead to some form of Catwoman when in Rome, which was the storyline of what Selina Kyle got up to in this kind of corner of the last Halloween universe when she went over to Rome to kind of go dig in and try to take down the Falcones there and find out more about her father. Now, I'm not saying that that's what they're going to do and it's going to be a buddy show with, Sophia and Selina teaming up, but I could see some form of this show being adapted. Like, couldn't you see HBO? People have been asking, well, what villain are they going to focus in on next? Wouldn't it make sense to give Catwoman a day, a little bit of a spotlight, and we could do something of a storyline like this, which ties into what they've already done and what they've touched upon already? Just saying. So this When in Rome storyline, I think it was only a 6-issue mini. Granted, it's a little bit inconsistent how things go. As far as a set goes, it's pretty expensive, but you can still find the regular, like the first issue, for pretty cheap, which is kind of odd. As you can see here with some of the recent sales, so copy sold for $5. I know it's not $1 and we're doing dollar bin digging, but the point being, look at those cheap boxes because you might find these. I remember coming across these back in the day, so they might still be out there. But then you can see sets do well. So if you can get the complete set, $35, $60, which is more than the individual on its own. And then you can see copies available $5 to $8 for just the single issue. But the sets, if you can go and complete a set digging out there, you might make yourself a nice chunk of change because a lot of folks want the whole series. They want to read it. They don't want just the individuals. Even the trades do pretty well for this storyline. But With that said, just saying, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but it's a possibility, and it's a good story regardless of if they adapt it and do a show or anything going forward in the new Matt Reeves corner of the Batman universe. But with that said, I'm all done. That's all I got for you this week. I know it's kind of a short show, but that's kind of what Dollar Bin Digging is. Quick hits, some things to just tip you off, to give you a little challenge to go out there and dig for them. So if you go and find any of these books when you're out there digging this weekend, take a picture, tag me on Instagram. I'd love to see it. I also like to know what other books you're finding and, things you're scoring out there, because it's always fun to see other people's pickups and gives other people hope to say, hey, look, that person found that book for $1 or for cheap. Maybe I can too. I can't wait to go hunting next. So with that all said, thanks again for stopping by and checking this out, and for all the support for the channel. And I'll see you all soon with some more content. All right, later.